everywhere. This is the Creating Wealth and Wellness podcast with Tara Missledine and Amanda Kingsley. Today, as always, we are teaming up to take you on a journey where freedom is cultivated through personal development, where women connect to fuel their futures, and where wealth is created as a byproduct of being well. Hello, Amanda.
Hey, hey.
Hi. So today we have a topic that's kind of near and dear to my heart because I am a lifelong entrepreneur, and one of the things that I love to do is networking. So we're going to talk about lots of different skills and practices and hacks and whatnot, because Amanda and I actually exist very differently in this world of networking for the entrepreneur. So I can't wait to hear how they talk, how they interact and complement each other. So before we do that, though, let's talk about our gratitudes for today.
I should have prepared, huh?
Well, what's the first thing that pops into mind when you think about gratitude?
Right? There's so many things I'm grateful for. I'm going to go, and I know I've said this before, which I feel like I say every episode, but I'm going to go with my husband. But the thing I was most particularly grateful for this morning was that he is like Mr. Handyman. Like, we've had this rattle in our car. It's just like a loose something for months. And he got in there, and for $20, like, he fixed it. And I said to him this morning, literally, I was like, do you know how expensive my life would be if you didn't do all these things that you do? Because he does bits of plumbing, bits of electric, bits of car work, bits of, like, he's a handyman, everything. And it's amazing.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
So I have a gratitude that has many, many, many times been like a source of resentment in my life.
Ooh.
And right now it happens to be a humongous gratitude. And that is for my timeshare. We were like crazy impulsive, like months after we got married, and bought this like ridiculous timeshare that we couldn't afford. And it was a source of stress many, many years while we were paying that. And then since then, it has sent us on some really amazing vacations because like we had to go for 2 weeks to amazing vacations or we were going to lose them, and we already paid for them. So that was cool. But the reason that I'm super grateful for it right now is because it actually is allowing us to go to a destination wedding for my sister-in-law to Cancun. And take Aria, and we're staying in an amazing resort, and it cost me a total of like $200 to exchange to an international like 5-star resort that's away from her wedding, which we're in a position right now where like we have so much going on and so much other travel this year that's kind of non-negotiable as well, that we would not be able to go if we didn't have all of this like time banked in our time. And now we get to go, which feels incredible.
How long are you going for?
We are going for a week because our timeshare is, we have to go for a week. Their check-in and out dates are like a week, but they're all only going for I think 4 or 5 days. And our resort, I'm not gonna lie, is nicer than the one that their wedding is at. So we're gonna be a 10-minute cab ride away, and we're gonna be able to go spend the day with them at the wedding. But we're gonna stay at our like family-friendly, like mega, like it's absolutely spectacular. They have like 7 acres of pool. So
that's
very,
amazing.
very cool. And it's on the beach in Playa del Carmen.
So, I've done a bunch of those with my husband, but not with my kids. That is my dream, to take my kids on one of those trips.
Yes, it's going to blow Aria's mind. So there you go. It's something that I've hated having many, many times, but then when I actually use it, I'm super grateful that we have it.
Nice.
Wouldn't recommend anyone else ever do it, but I can be grateful.
Sometimes it does work out.
Sometimes it works out. It's one of those things as an entrepreneur that actually works out better, I think, than for people who get like an assigned vacation every year or something, or have more constraints around their time. Yeah. All right, cool. So there we go. Let's jump into networking for the entrepreneur. This is like one of my consummate life skills.
I feel like you are the ultimate networker. But our networking skills are so different. I mean, essentially, they're probably the same at their core, but
different platforms, yeah.
Really different platforms, which is awesome. I think that's great. But you have such a huge history with in-person networking. I feel like I want to hear, because when I looked at your in-person networking, I was just like, how does she do that? So I want to hear why you love it so much, what you love about it so much, and why it was worth it to you for so long to invest that kind of time and money into networking.
Yeah, so one of the reasons we decided to talk about this today is I confessed that I have I'm pulling back from so much in the last year. And I really never thought that I would pull back from my business networking group. I've been part of BNI, which is Business Networking International. It's like a chamber of commerce, but on steroids, because there's very high expectations, but also very high results. So I've been a member of this organization for 12 years and change.
Which is why I almost fell off my chair when you said it.
Because it's an enormous investment, not only of money, it costs, over $1,000 to be an active member a year in BNI, but more so of time and energy, because you have to show up once a week to a 1.5 hour meeting. So if you add travel and all of that, and then there's additional work that you need to do, as one-to-one work with other members. Okay, and I'm back. For anybody who didn't notice, I paused the recording because my preschooler popped in and needed some time. So I was talking about my experience in BNI and how it's such a huge investment of time and energy. So it's the weekly meetings, but then you're also encouraged to do like work together outside of the meeting, because the entire premise of that organization is building business by referral. And to do that, you need to have active and engaging relationships with the people that are expected to refer to you, and vice versa. I don't know what to do, though. I don't know what to do. Okay, you need to ask Daddy for help, okay?
I'm not going to do something.
And we're back again. Oh, the joy.
The first time we've done this. I love this.
Okay,
the thing that I just wrote down from what you said was it's based on active and engaging relationships. I loved that.
Yes. And so that is the answer to the question that you asked me, why did I choose this and why do I love it and why does it work so well for my personality?
Yeah.
Because that is how I like to do everything, is through engaged relationships. So, and that's what BNI gives me when I see these people for hours every single week, and I feel very committed, and there's a very familial sort of team atmosphere. It keeps me really engaged. Yeah. And I also, like, one of the unsung benefits of networking in person like that is that I do feel like a hub of every kind of support that I could ever need. Like,
absolutely.
I have a friend who is a business attorney that I can call and he will answer any question on behalf of me or my clients. Like, I have his cell phone number, so it's like having everybody on like my personal speed dial. And it actually kind of reminds me of your gratitude for your husband, because how expensive would your life be?
Right.
To fix all of these problems. And I feel similarly, like I can get any question answered. I am on the top of everybody's wait list if I ever have an emergency. Like, I have somebody for everything.
Yeah.
And that's just, it makes me feel so incredibly resourced. So not only through Business Networking International, BNI, but also through all of my volunteerings. Like, I've served on so many boards and committees and actively volunteer, which kind of creates more pockets of relationship-based, networking. So I love being in person, and I love having those concrete relationships, and they're all local. And you, on the other hand, have an amazing skill in creating online networks. So why don't you talk about why that?
Well, this is what weird piece about you being an extrovert and me being an introvert come into play very clearly. I was a president of the Holistic Chamber of Commerce for a little while, because I was like, I'm going to do this in-person networking thing. And I actually really loved it. What I loved most about it was sort of bringing purpose and intention and teaching to that group every month, whether it was my teaching or bringing in someone else's teaching. And that is very different platform than BNI, like in terms of networking.
Okay, yeah.
Very different. But it has a similar networking piece. And I've been to a few BNI meetings, like, I'm going to do this. And I am such an introvert. That is the ultimate draining experience for me. Like, when I'm at the meeting, I am pumped up. I'm like, this is the best thing in the world. I can't believe this exists. How amazing is this? But it literally takes so much out of me. Like, drained to the point of can barely keep my eyes open, to be in that space in that way. And so I have created massive online networking because it feels safer to me. It feels like less intimidating to me. It feels more comfortable to me. And I am able to reach that place of like intimate, active engagement because I'm not worried about all the other introvert thoughts. So I have created really a global network online, starting mostly through Facebook. Really, that is my main source. I dabble in LinkedIn, but really Facebook is my place. And I feel similar to you in that I now have so many people in my life from different fields, that I can tap into with questions and needs for resources. And they've really built an online community, which is like Tara's so not into. She's like, I don't want an online community. I want an inline community.
Yeah. Well, it is interesting because I guess it's because I am that extrovert, but it doesn't actually feel like engagement to me when I'm online.
Yeah.
Like, even when people are commenting, like, I don't actually get that dopamine hit that some people get. It's sort of like surreal, and it doesn't feel concrete or supportive to me online like it does in person, you know?
Well, even since I was a kid, I remember being able to write letters to people or birthday cards or anything, like create Christmas gifts, but writing was always the way that I was able to speak my truth. Like always from, I'm going to say since I was like 10, like I remember noticing that I could say what I wanted to say in writing in such a different way than I could speak it in person. And so I'm able to do that online in such a way that feels like, to me, it's much more intimate because you're getting the real me versus the me that's freaked out about her introvert thoughts and like completely drained by being in the space.
Right.
So yeah, it's a great example of how we really have to network based on our personality. We have to network based on our skills, network based on what feels good to us.
Right, absolutely.
But the core is exactly the same. It's have conversations with people, not with businesses, with people. Like you learn about people and you understand what they need, what they're looking for, what they have to offer, so that you can share that, receive that, tap into that. Like it's about people, it's about relationships. Either way, the foundation is very similar. We just have to find the way it works for us.
Absolutely. And sort of speaking to my experience of what you're talking about with like being able to share your authentic self in writing.
Yeah.
I do agree with that. Like I feel very comfortable and very drawn to writing my truth, but I can't resonate with others through writing, you know. So I think maybe it's because I'm an auditory learner, but like people will text me things and I will read them and forget all about them. But if I hear someone say it, I'll remember it forever. Like I can replay conversations and I can replay entire, you know, soundtracks of movies in my mind, but I think it's more of like the auditory learner thing. So when I read comments and stuff, it just doesn't get where it needs to go to actually build that relationship for me. And
I think you and I need to get back on Voxer.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're probably right. Why have I totally spaced on something texted?
No, it's so funny because you are one of those people who I will text with and it's like, oh yeah, Tara doesn't really do that. Like, you know, she's not going to respond the same way like someone else would.
Yeah. And I try to be disconnected from my phone because to me, like those impersonal things, like where I'm seeing like a digital representation of someone, I find that draining. Whereas I could talk to you for hours. So it's very interesting. So I love that you have already sort of mentioned exactly what I wanted to get at, and that was do the networking that works for you.
Yeah.
You know, because you trying to make yourself go to BNI and make it work because it's productive and efficient for somebody else like me. Like for me, it was worth every minute of my investment in BNI. I have closed over $500,000 worth of business directly from BNI over the last 10 years.
Incredible.
So it was definitely worth it as I built and expanded my network and built all my businesses. So
and it's such a perfect example, because when I hear you say that, I'm like, you got to get over yourself and just do it. Even in this conversation about networking differently, I hear you say $500,000. And I'm like, you got to just suck it up and go to
but
be.
I don't think it would have
not gonna work.
Someone like, yeah,
exactly. It's not gonna work for me because there's so much other stuff around it for me.
Absolutely. And the same way that like I can't ever create the online community that you can, because my heart is not in it.
Yeah.
Like even if I'm doing it well for a moment, it's insanely draining for me. It totally feels like work, and I'm sabotaging myself because I don't want to be there.
Right. And it totally lights me up and fires me up and gets my ideas flowing and my passion flowing, and it's like, yeah.
Yeah, so I think that could be like our shared number one hack for networking is get really good at what already feels good.
Yeah.
You know, like find out what feels good and then develop the skills that you need to support that. Don't try to make yourself do something that makes you uncomfortable. I mean, to a point. If it's just that you are like unfamiliar, if you're just starting out and you're sort of experimenting, absolutely push yourself out of your comfort zone to experiment and to discover. But once you know that it's not you, you know, don't try to force yourself into that hole.
Yeah.
Because it's only ever going to be work.
And focus on the point, which is, how can I create active and engaging conversations? How can I create active and engaging relationships? What's the best way for me to create active and engaging relationships?
Yeah, because networking goes both ways. And I think that's something that people who are unfamiliar with true networking, they might not realize that it's not just you expanding your network. Like you're not networked if that person also doesn't want to be in a relationship with you.
Right.
You know, that's not a network. That's just a list of contacts.
Yeah, you're not there to pass out business cards.
Absolutely. It's not just there gathering names. A true network, like if you think about, you know, this is a great time for me to reference one of my favorite like spiritual imageries of all time. It's called Indra's Web. Have you ever heard of it?
I feel like I have, but I'm not getting a visual like you're.
So the Indra is a goddess, and I think it's a Hindu goddess. And she has a web that includes all of creation, and where each of the web strands intersects and joins with another web strand, there is an infinitely faceted diamond that reflects all of the other interconnections in existence.
Oh, we need to find this image for the
right, isn't it? And it's very like sacred geometry, which also very speaks to me. But the idea is like a list is not a network of connections. You know, and once you begin networking, then you realize how many of like your personal relationships are connected with other personal relationships that you're not connected with yet, that now you can be through them. And it's just this magic of exponential growth.
Beautiful.
Very, very cool. But that's really what it's about. It's a mutually beneficial relationship. That is true networking.
Yeah, beautiful. Awesome. All right, well, that's my ask then. I gotta see that image. So I'm gonna ask you to find that image when we get.
Okay, I will find
you. My ask is of Tara.
Okay. I will deliver.
I want to see that image, and we will share it with everyone.
Okay, I am happy to do that. And okay, so my ask is friend me on Instagram. I like being on Instagram more than anything else because it is very visual in picture form. So, and you know, those tell lots of stories, and I can totally remember the visual, but I don't necessarily have to connect with the text.
Yeah.
So friend me on Instagram, everybody. My handle is @myallinlife.
Nice.
So connect with me, please. I would love to see your life.
All right. Until next week.
Till next time.